So they started digging a little deeper. And that's when things really started looking more and more concerning. Because remember, this was September of 2023. But John and Lois had been canceling or rescheduling doctor's appointments since 2019, for 4 years. So that meant that neither one of them had actually been seen in a doctor's office for literal years. And another detail also stood out to the officers. It was never John or Lois calling to cancel these appointments. It was always Virginia. Now, on its own, that could make sense. She was their caretaker after all. But when it happens repeatedly, year after year, it starts to raise some questions. And there was also something else in all of this. Virginia was also the only person who ever picked up John's prescriptions. Again, in a normal caregiving situation, that might not seem unusual, but when you add it in with everything else that's going on, I mean, the canceled appointments, the years without seeing them, the story about them suddenly leaving town, it starts to look a lot more concerning. So a question began to form in the minds of these investigators. Could John and Lois be dead? I mean, surely not, right? If they had passed away, somebody would have been notified. There would be a death certificate, some kind of official documentation. But there wasn't. I mean, as far as any records showed, John and Lois were still alive and well, or relatively speaking. And honestly, that didn't make the officers feel any better, because the absence of a death certificate doesn't actually prove that someone is alive and well. So over the next 2 days, investigators drafted a search warrant for the house while also continuing to look into John and Lois's whereabouts. And they came up with nothing. No records showing that they had moved, no indication that they had relocated, no new doctors, nothing that supported Virginia's story that they had just packed up and left town. Then by September 15th, the warrant was finally approved. And this time, when the officers knocked on the front door, they wouldn't be leaving without answers. And the plan wasn't just to talk with Virginia. They knew that they were there and they were going to arrest her. So the officers arrived at the family's home. They knocked on the door, but nobody was coming to the door once again. And this time, unlike before, after some time when Virginia finally answered the door, no one answered the door. So then they forced their way inside. And what they saw when they entered the house is honestly something that still stands out to me. Because Virginia was just standing there in the middle of the hallway, almost like something out of a horror movie. She was calm, she was still, she didn't run, she didn't panic, she didn't even look particularly worried or surprised. And what happened next might go down as one of the strangest confessions that you will ever hear. Virginia didn't react the way that most people would if police suddenly broke into their home. She wasn't asking what was going on or demanding an explanation or like, what are you doing here? Instead, she just stood there, completely calm. No visible panic, no real expression at all on her face. She didn't even move until the officers told her that she needed to put her hands up.
That's fine. No one in here at the moment. Hold on. The police. Got it.
Stay where you are.
Stay where you are.
Show me
Stay where you are. Show your hands. You here?
Jenny.
Yep.
The time is 12:12. You're under arrest on suspicion of murder against Jonathan McCullough and Lars McCullough. Okay? You don't have to say anything, but in my home defence, you do not mention when questioned, social life support anything to do so with the evidence. Okay? Alright, your arrest is necessary.
Then one of the officers asked a very simple question. Is there anything that we should know about?